Ooh, some vibrato.
It almost fell out of my hand, but we did it. We're at hashtag Set Life. Welcome, everybody.
Out there. Welcome to hashtag Set Life, everyone. The show where Joseph and I bring in guests who work in the film industry, and we chat about life on set and movie making and all the things that we find interesting, and we hope that you do as well. Today we have with us Director of Photography Geoff George. Geoff has worked on such projects as Beverly Hills Cop, the Axel F movie, Fall. You worked on Fall? Is that you?
I worked on not the Tarsem Singh Fall, not the Fall, but I worked on
Fall from the girls on the
girls on the tower.
Yeah,
by Scott Mann. Yeah, I was I was on that film, second unit DP and camera operator.
And other such projects as Bosch, and the recently released Stealing Jokes. You've got a nice little and Detroiters, yeah. It Follows as the second. I meant to bring that up earlier too. I worked with I don't remember what department he ended up working in, but I know him as Frenchie. Mark.
Mark
Antoine.
Mark Antoine. Soro, the gaffer. Yeah.
Yeah. Was he gaffer on that?
Yeah, he was, I believe. So.
That's when I worked with him. He was a gaffer.
He's gaffer me on a number of things.
I love him. So welcome to the show. I think we'll start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning of when did you know that you wanted to work in film?
I think when I was a kid watching movies, and I mentioned it on the previous episode, but my dad was very good about showing me movies from all different genres and movies that weren't appropriate for my age at the time, but he knew that I was watching them with a mature eye and whatnot. And I think it was The Shining probably that really. I think those Steadicam shots in The Shining stood out so much that I was like, someone's operating this camera. What are they doing? I want to see it. I want to figure that out. And then eventually DVD came out, and there was all the special features that were on the DVD that were really like a film school unto themselves, which we talked about a little bit already. But for anyone that didn't listen to the last episode, I think it was around that age and, of 12 years old or so or something like that. And it's just something I've always wanted to do. I didn't really know if it was realistic to do because I'm growing up in suburban Detroit. I don't know anything, we don't know filmmakers. My dad ran an ice cream company, a dairy distributor in the area here. And, But my parents were creative. My mom was a fashion designer. My dad was a photographer before he worked for the family business, and he kind of taught me photography. Okay. And that led to me, taking up photography as a hobby as a kid and in high school, and eventually making your own movies on VHS and whatever. And, eventually looking into going into film school, and I did at the University of Michigan. And thankfully I had parents who encouraged me to pursue that path, encouraged a more creative, career journey and stuff. So I was fortunate in that way. And I had a great, opportunity to go to the University of Michigan, and it was a great film school. And like every film school, it's not quite perfect, and you think you're going to be a director and all this stuff. But I think at some point in film school, because of my interest in photography, and I directed some projects at school like you do. But then I realized pretty quickly I was more into the camera side of things. Okay. And I like directing, and it's something I can kind of do. I've done it. I still to this day occasionally will direct NDP stuff. But the cinematography aspect, the combination of technical and creative skill, the kind of management position of it as well. It's a leadership position on set. Like all of that was intriguing to me. So when I started when I got out of the University of Michigan and started looking for work on film sets, it was naturally I was attracted to the camera department. And in 2008, there was a big film incentive program in Michigan when I was graduating from the University of Michigan. And one of the former students at U of M reached out to a professor, and he was ACing a movie here, and said, if we need a camera PA, if anybody graduated from your department and is interested in camera, pass them along to me. And basically, lucky break, right out of school, I'm all of a sudden working on this, $30 million Warner Brothers movie, called High School,
Amazing.
Okay.
and that was the one with that Adrian Brody was in.
Okay.
And I was, and I remember the very first thing that they took, because I mean, thinking back on it, it's insane that they even let me on that film set,
First out of college, yeah.
because I mean, I know we've worked over the years with various, PAs at different experience levels, but it's a big movie, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
but it was also like they just needed help because there was a lot of films being shot in Michigan at the time, which was also a luck of circumstance of myself graduating right when that film incentive was gearing up.
Perfect time.
So I had done an internship in Los Angeles the year before and during the summer, and was going to return to that production company and get a sublet in LA and like all this stuff. And I decided to stay here in Michigan, and it was the best decision ever. I mean, I started working right away on projects that were coming to the state in the camera department, starting as a camera PA. Eventually I was loading. Eventually I was second ACing. Eventually I was first ACing. And then you're picking up days operating because somebody was sick or whatever, had to leave. And it just snowballed. And the next thing I knew, I was doing, working on the movies, that some of the ones that you mentioned.
Wonderful.
And
yeah.
So it was always something I was really interested in, and I never took no for an answer on whether it was something I could do. I felt like it was where I was meant to be, and I love it. And ever since, it's I'm so glad that I'm in this profession, because I really feel like every day is a learning experience and adventure, and you get to see things and do things as a filmmaker and working on films and projects of all different kinds that the general public don't get to see, and you meet really creative, interesting people from all walks of life and of all different types of skill sets and professions, and so anyway, that's kind of the short story. Yeah, I'm rambling.
So no, that's okay. That's as far as your experience at the University of Michigan, you're our first guest, I think, who has gone collegiately through a film school as opposed to a trade school.
Yeah.
We had someone who came from Michigan State, but they said that the film program there was multiple options. The one that they went through wasn't quite a preparatory. So could you speak a little bit about what a university film school experience is like?
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak to my own experience, and I did look at other film schools. I actually went to USC to visit them, and I went to Emerson College, and there were some others that were on the list that I thought about. And ultimately, I went to the University of Michigan because it was close to home, and we had in-state tuition, and it was going to be a lot more affordable, and it was a very good public school that was, very well known. And if it was kind of like a little bit like, if this film track doesn't make sense, maybe I'll go into their architecture school or something, So it was a little bit like, damn, it's the University of Michigan. They have such amazing education system and resources, and it's so big,
Is it more of a theory-based education, or is there a hands-on?
Yeah, they had production and theory and writing, but I will say that probably they were not, especially at the time, particularly well known for their production side of their department. They were more known for their writing and theory side of their department, which is something that I saw at other film schools when I started exploring them. Some were more production focused, and some are more theory focused. And I think it's all good,
Sure.
It's all a good thing. But if I was doing it today in 2025, I don't know if I would go down that same path. I think now there's a lot more opportunity in film without having to go to film school at all. It's more, the network that you're building around you. And if I did go to a film school now, it would be like a Full Sail or something that's more of like a trade, like where they're teaching
something that gets you hands on real quick.
Yeah, and because truthfully, and this is all in all kindness, the professors at the University of Michigan weren't particularly, making, or working on the types of films that I ended up working on, like more like studio pictures and stuff. So, they were making their own documentaries and were accomplished filmmakers in their own way, in an independent way or whatever, but they went into education in one form or another. And inevitably that becomes more about writing and theory and stuff. And that stuff is good to know. And I do think that the theory education at the University of Michigan, and the writing education for that matter too, definitely informs how I analyze films and kind of break them down. And I recognize things and it makes you kind of more aware of how films are like pastiche of other films. And, you're taking, it's a collage, you're taking ideas from other filmmakers, frankly. And every great filmmaker has done that. And when you learn the history of film and the theory behind film and why certain choices are made, or what certain choices mean or mean to the viewer, you can make more informed choices yourself on set, So that education is not a bad thing. Yeah. But if if you're trying to make movies, I mean, there's a lot of different paths. And maybe that's something I should say too, which is that there's no right path to be a filmmaker, to be a DP. A lot of people ask me, like, if I want to be a DP, what should I do? And I came up in the world of, I went through film school education. I in high school, I knocked on the door of a post-production facility and said, do you guys need a job here? Do you have a job for me? Yeah. And they were like, no. And they were like, and I was like, can I come and look around? And they were like, okay, come and look around. And by the end of talking to them for an hour, they were like, okay, we'll pay you minimum wage to like help get coffees for us, but just so you can learn stuff for the summer. And it turned into my first job in film. And that was before college. So like, there are opportunities like that where if you're a little nosy and you're a little, forward and you're young and hungry and people are willing to take you under their wing, you can go down that path. And I could have not gone to school and stayed in that post-production world and worked my way up and didn't edit, whatever, and become an editor maybe or something. But it was, again, it colored my experience. And, all of those things are the right thing to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, to be a DP, I went, I was a camera PA, and then I was a second, and then I was a first, and then I kind of went up the ladder the traditional way in a way, but even at a speedier pace than previous generations from me that really, sometimes they would spend 10 years being an NAC before they ever touched a camera to operate, and that in the same way that was outdated when I was starting my filmmaking career, my filmmaking path may be potentially outdated to now, which is that the going to school and learning about how to make films, that's all well and good and everything. And that there is space for that still today. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important too. Like AFI is a great program and Full Sail and all these places. But there's so much potential now to just like make movies with your friends. I guess,
you didn't have access to YouTube University back in your day.
No, and even though we could grab a camera, like a DV camera or something, and like make films with our buddies, and sometimes you can hit gold doing that. Like look at, we talked about some of those like Primer and Blair Witch and stuff. But I, first of all, I wasn't at that level of a filmmaker for one thing, and also, there's limitations with that too. And now it's not really true. Like you can shoot great cinematic video on your phone or on an FX3 or something and get amazing stuff. And, so, come up with a good story and get some of your friends. And
ultimately it's about the story you're telling.
And then I also do feel strongly that like, if you do want to be, if you want to work, there's I kind of look at it in two different ways. It's like, if you want to make movies, grabbing a camera and doing it with your friends is the best way. But if you want to work in film, that's a different story. And that means pick a department that you jive with, whether it's art department or grip electric or camera or whatever, and get ingrained in that department world and work jobs. Yeah. And because at the end of the day, no matter how much we love movies and we want to make movies and we all want to get that film or whatever, make some film that goes to Sun or who the hell knows, whatever. Yeah. It goes to
something that has some merit,
has some merit, has recognition from your peers. To get there, to be able to do that, you also got to pay the bills. You got to be able to pay rent. You got to be able to pay your car payments, and you got to have a job. And that job, if you can, try to get in a department and do that job there as an assistant, whatever, and work your way up, because those people are connections and people that you're going to be working intimately and closely with to the point where when you do want to make your movie, you can hit up them, and now you're working with a team that's worked on major productions, and they like you as a person, and they want to help you,
and you have a vibe, your relationship,
and you have a relationship is already there, and stuff like that. So I'm all about like kind of growing with your peers rather than. I always think it's good to reach out to the, knock on the door of the big filmmaker or the big DP that you like or want to work with or whatever. It's always worth a shot. Sure. I'm not saying don't do that at all. And there's a way to do that in a right way and a wrong way and whatever.
Yeah, respectfully.
Yeah, the worst thing they can say is no.
The worst thing they can say is no. But more often than not, if you're growing as a filmmaker, you're growing alongside your peers and colleagues that started at the same level as you at the same time that you did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I still work to this day with a lot of my classmates at U of M that have gone into other areas of film, whether it's producing or production design or whatever. And, and those are some of the few people that, we've stayed in touch. And when there's a project that comes up, we recommend each other, and they've gone and done big movies and stuff. And I've gone and done whatever. And so you kind of lift each other up together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
100%.
Yeah. So
when it comes to, that's a pretty long path, moving through each department as you did, or with the one department, but in each different level of the positions, from PA to second to first to DP. What was it like being on, you said, I think it was a $30 million film right out of college, as a PA? I think a lot of new people coming into the industry, especially on something so large, can be intimidating. What kind of feelings went through it, and how did you manage as far as being on set? Did you just go in, hit the floor running? Was there a timid nature to it? Like how would you recommend approaching, someone who's like, I don't know that I know, like, I don't know what kind of hands-on, like what you knew by the time you were on set, as far as like familiarity with the process, the G&E team, where the camera,
almost
building a
nothing.
Camera. So with that kind of wealth of knowledge of almost nothing, you can feel a bit intimidated. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember being super nervous on that first day I walked on set, and you kind of fish out of water. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help. And that's something that everybody, probably experiences at least once in their career. And frankly, I still, there's moments like that. I still, feel that way or whatever, but, in a different way or whatever. But, no, I was extremely nervous and, intimidated by the size of that set. We also had a fucking maniac DP, who was awesome. I mean, in case it ever gets back around, he was crazy.
Brilliant and crazy.
Mitch Amundsen, who was like, he's from that old school Hollywood. He was just, he was a yeller on set. And, and it was like, but he was never disparaging to people, which I will say, but there was a different vibe. It was like, you're on the wrong set. That camera doesn't belong there. That kind of stuff. I mean, they're just, you're just getting railed from every direction. And frankly, the ACs were kind of like that too, because it was like a lot of older, salty, been around the block ACs.
They say
stuff.
Shit runs downhill.
Yeah.
So.
and you're the camera PA, so you're getting the brunt of it too. I think, you come out of film school with this kind of cocky attitude, like, I shot on 16 millimeter and I know what's going on and I know how this works. And we made a movie, we made our thesis project in school and it was 20 minutes and I know how to make a movie. And then you go on one of these sets and you're like, I don't know anything, because on a student film, everyone's grabbing a light and you're putting it up. But on a proper film set, there's a fucking department for that or whatever, and it's like, no, it follows certain protocol and whatever. And there's a reason and there's an etiquette and there's a language and there's and it's all those things. So you really just have to be immersed and spend time in that world. I think, it was definitely more intimidating environment back then when I was getting into film than it is now. So now, like, we have PAs on set and everybody's super chill and nobody's yelling at each other. Right. And if they have a question, we're going to answer it. And for the most part, things are not, energy can be high and there can be stress on set and stuff, but like, it's not like those days when it was like everybody was just screaming.
Like counting
so-
frames of film. Now it's digital. There's a lot less money on the line for that.
And so, I think, there were certain people on set that I felt like I could turn to for questions and stuff. And sure enough, some of those people I still work with to this day. Like, Sean Cragen was one of the A or B camera first on that show. And he's, older than me, and he's very gravelly and old and intimidating and stuff. And, or not very, but you know what I'm saying? He's like he's like an old school, intimidating camera guy. Like
first impression was rough, but you guys have become.
But actually, and he's one of the best people ever to teach you how to be an AC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because he did it in that high pressure type of situation, and he knows how to deal with those types of. And anyway, he's been and still to this day we work together on the Technocrane stuff and all that. So there were certain people that stand out, and you can kind of turn to them. I mean, I did see, like when I showed up on that set, they were like, this kid knows nothing. And so they told me, here's going to be your job. Your job is to go into the camera room and all these cases that have shipping labels on them, they need to be cleaned.
Oh my God.
And take the labels off. And I'm thinking, it's my first day on set. I'm thinking to myself, okay,
this is normal.
Yeah, this is normal. I mean, now I'm thinking to myself, dude, they only did that to me to get rid of me off of the set. You know what I mean? But I went on every case and with Goo Gone and razor blades, and I cleaned the shit out of those cases, dude. They were sparkling clean, and the one of the first like walked back in the room and was like, oh, you really did actually clean all these cases, like,
Let's teach this kid something.
And then they were like, all right, come on over here. We'll let you do this and that. And the next thing I'm running mags, and then I'm filling in for the loader and what, or doing
demonstrate your usefulness.
And stay humble, and, that was probably a lesson I had to learn, when I was young and coming out of U of M and a little cocky and whatever.
Sure.
And,
that goes to show that no task given to you is useless. You showed, even though it was something they didn't even expect you to do.
Right.
You showcased independent willfulness to do a job and do it well.
Yeah, exactly.
That gets rewarded on set.
I think that goes to a lot of people's jobs on set. It's, we take a lot of passion in our work because we love movies, and we're not just doing this like for the paycheck, I mean, in some cases you are or whatever. But even then, even when I feel like I'm doing a paycheck job, I'm like, no, our name's on this, we're working relationships that we're going to continue to work. Maybe they don't have a big budget and a cool job right now, but they might later. And so let's do the best job we possibly can. Let's make this look really good. Let's, do this the right way. Let's not cut corners where it's unsafe and it doesn't make sense.
At the end of the day, you're still living your dream job. You're still doing something.
I'd rather be shooting.
Nobody's life's at stake. Nobody's going to get hurt. We're having fun. We're creating media.
And you can do that even with a corporate interview. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, agreed. 100%.
As a department head, we've kind of approached this from your coming up, but as a department head now, how do you advise someone who's in that position that you were in before, either a fresh camera PA or a first day AC? How do you recommend, or how do you advise that they approach when they come into a situation that they are uncertain of, that maybe a piece of equipment that they've not used before, or a command that was given that they don't understand? What is the best approach for somebody when they're put into that situation of ignorance?
Yeah, it used to be that you would just say yes and do your best to figure it out and fake it till you make it kind of thing. And I don't really know if that's such good advice. Like, there is certain times when this fake it till you make it type of attitude can work or be beneficial in a small way. I would never encourage anybody to, don't embellish or lie about your experience, but there is a little bit of that, like, okay, you got to just roll with the punches a little bit. And even if this is outside of your experience, and whether it's about a moment on set or a command that's, given or whatever it might be, like just roll with it and do your best to figure it out. But now I would much rather people ask. I don't know what a U-bang or whatever, or whatever, like some piece of equipment is, or go grab the diopter. It's like, which one is that? Like, just ask, ask. Like, and it may take a second, and we'll explain it to you later what this actually does, but it's that one there or whatever, and because why gatekeep? It's like, it's weird to even,
right. Because I feel like it hinders the movement of what you're all trying to get done if they're not able to do it. There was the second time that I gripped, I was covering for Joe. Joe had another gig. He needed me to cover a day. And it was 3 a.m. was our start, and we had to prep a car. It was raining, so we were doing it under the cover of light, or under the cover of a tent. And the DP asked me to go grab Opal, and I was like, yeah, no problem. I ran to the truck, and I was like, I have no fucking clue what this is. So I'm texting Joe. I was like, Joe, he's asking me for Opal. What is this? He's like, oh, it's a diffusion. I'm like, okay, I see that. I'm sitting at all the rolls. I'm like, but which one is it? Like, is there any way you could describe it to me? And he said, well, it should be labeled. And it should.
It should.
But they weren't.
But it wasn't.
So I'm like, I'm seeing 251 here. I'm seeing 250. What he's like, okay, it's not quite this. It's not quite that.
It's like
and then
pearlescent.
And then I grabbed the best that I could, because I was so nervous to go and actually ask the DP. Yeah. And I didn't want to get booted off set already. Right. I didn't want to taint Joe's name. I didn't want to taint my name.
Sure.
And ultimately, I'll be honest, I don't remember if I got Opal correct or not.
I think you took New Hampshire, which is very similar.
Which is easy to mix up.
Yeah, they look so close,
especially when they're in a roll.
But I diffused the lights, and they let it roll. So
and New Hampshire is just a lighter pearlescent. Like, it's not as much of bending of the light, but it's very close.
I mean, I think that's maybe in that moment. Like, I personally wouldn't, if the DP says go get Opal and then runs away and is super busy and running around with their head, that might not be the best person to ask what is Opal. But in my opinion, you did the right thing. You asked someone there, somebody else that what is it,
Right.
And so that's the method, really. Like, sometimes you can't ask the question to the department head, but you can turn to another grip or something and say,
as a
hey,
gaffer, a lot of times I'm having a conversation with the DP, and I got 3 grips. If I give you 2 commands, you 2 commands, you 2 commands, all 3 at the same time, ask them the question when you're all at the truck. Right. Don't stop what I'm doing.
Don't stop our conversation.
Because if I have time and I'm not having that, then ask me.
On that day, I happened to not be the only sub. The gaffer also had a sub, and I
didn't even know the guy, right?
But I asked him, and he was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh,
okay." He didn't know either.
I was like, "Oh, cool, great."
Well, yeah.
Hopefully that's a rare occurrence.
I mean, there are times when I don't know what piece of equipment to be using. Like I have this shoot coming up in New York, and we have to do some remote head stuff. And I've done a fair amount of remote head work and stuff, and I know the basic top 4 remote heads for heavier cameras or whatever. It's like, but we need to do a very specific Z-axis move, and we might need to switch to Steadicam. So I was thinking Trinity and stuff, and then somebody in the AC in New York was like, what about this head? What about the Cyclo head? And like all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I've never fucking heard of those. And so I'm like, and I've been DPing for 10 years, you know what I mean? So it's like, there are always going to be times when you don't know something even at every level,
especially right now, technologically, there's the exponential curve. So stuff's coming out so fast, it's almost impossible to keep up with. Because I used to follow camera and lights, and it just got to be so overwhelming. I was like, I'm just sticking to lights.
Right.
That's where my career's going anyway. I'll leave camera to camera.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought of another question there that all ended quite abruptly. I was not prepared. Not prepared. So your experience is not just in feature film. You've worked in commercial and then live events. And what's the workflow that like is it pretty similar going in, or did you have to learn and adapt as these opportunities came to you?
Can you answer that question through, because as big heavy metal fans, and Brad mentioned this earlier, but we didn't get it on record.
Yeah.
That you went to Red Rock to do Opeth.
Shot the
I shot their Garden of the Titans concert film, which the Decca brothers directed, and that was very different. I've done a few of these types of live event. I would say like live event leaning towards cinematic type coverage, not so much like ENG style coverage.
Right.
So I did, Opeth, and then we also shot Gojira at that same concert because Gojira opened for them. Nice. And I shot a film that my buddy John Beavers, who's a local DP as well, DP director, called Absolute Treasure. I'm not recalling the name of the band offhand, but and then I've done a lot of like corporate TED Talky type, not TED Talky, but like business pitch type, coverage that gets edited down into an 8-minute episode type of stuff. I worked in reality TV for a while when I was kind of picking up camera operating days early in my career. And that was like definitely a good training ground for how to get moments in the moment, get something in the moment.
Yeah, because I mean, when things are happening in reality or with a live, Joe and I started in music as well. So like, you have one opportunity to capture it. Whereas in film, if you mess up a focus or a movement, you can take it again.
Yeah.
Try it again. Is it an experience that you would like? Let me rephrase this. Do you find that having these different style of opportunities, does that help you grow as a shooter?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I kind of take pride in that I've been able to be a little bit all over a lot of different types of projects and genres. I've done everything from dramatic short film to narrative comedy to commercial and music video and live concert films and stuff. Mm-hmm. The live concert world, it's so different than the narrative feature world. Like narrative feature, it's single camera. You're thinking much more about how your visual language is also helping tell a story, and so much pre-planning and stuff, because a feature is like a chess game where you have to plan. Once you're in the middle of shooting, you can't really be planning scenes. So you have to do everything before and get your scouting and you have to do a lot of figuring out weeks in advance and kind of building packages that make sense for your location moves and all of this kind of stuff. And the concert film is almost the opposite end of that spectrum. It's just like one night, you get one chance to do it. You throw every camera you can possibly get at the situation, and you come up with a singular aesthetic that can translate across all of the cameras.
Okay.
So that's
and by that, for our listeners, break that down. Are you talking about the tone of the actual look of the film? So the matching the settings and so forth. Are you talking about a style?
Both, everything from making sure all of your cameras are matching settings or are in the same color space or visual, realm of each other, to all the way to, we're making a creative choice here to upload a certain LUT on every camera so that they all have the same picture profile, so that when that footage is delivered for color, like they have a base starting point, and it was also monitored that way on set. So like the creative team and the directors and the clients and everybody from the record label and whatever are all looking at a monitor that is going to look like the DVD or whatever.
So in an event like that, are you as an operator shooting, are they editing it linearly like in a live television show? So you've got do you have a tech director saying that you're on now, or
ready take one,
or as a camera operator, are you shooting a one-er film and at any moment could be used?
Yeah, and I've been a part of productions that have done both, and we sometimes are on comms, especially in a concert type situation. More so, like I've encountered that when I happen to be operating camera for one of the big screens at a concert.
Sure.
But most of the concert stuff that I shot was, it's a hybrid of there's no comms with director. You're kind of out on your own, or maybe there's comms with director, but your camera is independent, and maybe they're monitoring, but you're just recording to a card like you would on any, and everybody's time code matched, and you're getting good shots, and then they're going to take the footage later and edit it together. And even I'm trying to remember at Red Rocks, I think we were on comms, so they were telling us, go for a close up or whatever, or I was saying something because
some coaching or some mentioning like, hey, we'd like to see something like that.
Something starts happening and you go, Charlie camera go start shooting that or whatever, So, but like at Red Rocks, we had, at a certain point, you got to let people just do what they are good at and let the operators be their own good operators and stuff. And you can't micromanage too much because
so the comms are basically there for you to say, hey, all three of you on the guitarists.
Yeah, exactly.
Break it up a little bit. Right.
Exactly. And to do stuff more like that. But yeah, we're shooting long oneers, of this concert and with reloads in between. And I will often, like on that job, we actually pre-rolled some of the cameras a chunk of time before the actual showtime start, so that they wouldn't be changing cards at the same time as other cameras. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That was something that took me some time to learn when we started going in, because we were shooting on DSLRs, which it's basically like shooting on film because you got 9 minutes.
Yeah, right.
9 to 11.
And so we would have to stagger our fire times so that, we're not both trying to change out cards.
We learned pretty quickly that
refiring
even
at the same
in
time.
a rock and roll environment where we can't really hear each other, we could just like, that's me cutting. Don't do it now. Wait till you hear again. Then I'm good. And you go.
You just key your mic.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think, that, and like Opeth, that film, we were definitely conscious of like what lenses are we putting on the cameras, because we do want all of that stuff to kind of be in the same world and match. We were very conscious of, kind of framing style in general and giving the operators the ability to do stuff wide and close, be on the stage with the performers, to use the 240 frame, because we made a very deliberate decision to frame it for 240. So there was some stuff like that we went in and we gave the notes to the operators. I think there was 14 cameras on that job.
Wow,
like that.
amazing.
Now, specifically with something like that, what is the concern with catching bogeys of your own crew? Is it just none?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we don't want it to be prominent in the frame, but at some point you can't when there's that many cameras, and it's part of the vibe of the thing too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it just kind of
you see all the lighting and the equipment anyway, and the crowd, and
I'm sure you also had like ops on stage.
We had ops
so
on
if you
stage,
cut from a close to a wide, he's gonna be there.
Right. Yeah, and to be fair, like I think the final film of what I've seen of it, I believe it's actually pretty.
Minimal.
It's pretty minimal where you actually do catch cameras and stuff like that.
Okay.
We had a mix of so much like rigged cameras. We had a wire camera. We had a steady cam. We had other, or maybe not steady cam, but like a gimbal or something. And then we had like many planted cameras, some on sticks, some handheld.
Yeah.
Some in the crowd. I don't know if we had a crane because we had the wire.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, I do want to talk a little bit about one of the things that here in Michigan we're crossing our fingers for and really hoping for is the return of what we call the incentives. You are a member of a group here that is very committed to the growth of the Michigan film industry as a whole, but definitely in working towards getting our legislation to approve and bring back these incentives. Can you first, and that's MIFIA, it's the Michigan
Michigan Film Industry Association.
Could you first, for our listeners, in a explain it like I'm five type of situation, what it means to have a film incentive? There's two types, right? There's the credits and then there's the rebates. Yes?
Right.
Real quick, while you think it through to explain that, I just wanted to say, anybody listening, it's really easy to become a member of MIFIA. I'm a member myself. Just go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, and you're a member.
Okay.
It's very easy to just be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then there's more.
I'm not on the board or anything.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jeff, but
Well, you can also be
to stay informed and
you can be on the newsletter for just freely, and then you can also, if you donate $25, $50, or $100, you can become like a MIFIA member that gets you certain benefits and stuff like.
Right.
It's mainly a way to just show your donation of supporting this effort.
Yeah.
Because the Michigan Film Industry Association is like working with lobbyists and PR firm in Lansing, which is the reality of our political system, which is that if you want to get something passed for your industry, you need to hire a lobbyist. So that's where our donations go, is to the lobbyist.
Okay.
And there's a number of board members, all made up of film professionals from across the state. And it's been going on 5 or 6 years now. I got involved a couple of years ago, and it's a tax voucher system incentive, which means that if your company shoots or studio makes a film in Michigan, you get a tax voucher that would be a percentage back of that production, and you can use that against your Michigan tax liability, or you can sell the voucher to a Michigan company. So the voucher system basically like keeps that tax credit in the state, as opposed to a rebate system, which is just the state writes a check for cash and the studio takes it and leaves. The idea was to create a system that was like more focused on Michiganders and Michigan jobs. And so there are thresholds for how many Michigan residents and stuff you have to have on your production to qualify for certain percentages. But and the details of the system are on the MIFIA website. But I got involved because I want to see it happen in our state, and I want to see our state have a healthy film industry. We're one of only 4 states in the country that doesn't have some kind of film incentive program,
which is crazy.
Which is totally crazy, especially considering that Michigan and Detroit and Grand Rapids are such hubs of creative design and music and film.
And the fact that we had them and they left, no state ever just abolishes them like we have.
Well, we had them, and so the reason I got involved is because honestly, I went through that first film incentive program. It was a different program. It's not the same as the one that's currently being proposed. It fixes a lot of the loopholes, and there's
more tiering
that previous
keeping
program
it in-house Michigan.
Keeping it in Michigan. That previous program was overly generous in that the money was kind of leaving the state.
Gotcha.
But I also was graduating from the University of Michigan in 2008, right when it passed. And I was going to move to LA, and I decided to stay here and work on film because of all the films that were coming literally to our doorstep.
Yeah.
And here I am, this young kid with no connections in film or anything. And it was an incredible opportunity. So I got involved because I wanted to see that same opportunity for today's students and stuff. Like that would be amazing if we have all these amazing programs here, from MPI to U of M and MSU, of course, but there's Grand Valley State University has a fantastic film program. Lawrence Tech is getting into film. They have Specs Howard there.
We're Specs alumni.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So and exactly. And LTU has been a big supporter of this incentive proposal. And, they train these kids and they're all leaving for Chicago, for Atlanta,
which is what I'm trying to avoid.
LA, and we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to keep young people here. That's really my motivation behind wanting to be involved. Other than obviously it would be good for us.
It would be self-beneficial.
I had actually moved away before going to Specs back in 2003, and came back 2009. I'd gone down to Florida. I was pursuing there's Universal, there's Disney. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
California wasn't really. I had family down there. I had nobody out west. So that was something that I could at least attempt to follow my dreams while being practical. Right?
Yeah.
And I came back in 2009 partly because of the incentives.
Yeah. And a lot of people were moving here, just like you. They were moving back. They were from here. They were moving back.
Yeah.
There was people that were moving from LA, buying houses in Metro Detroit. Because it's an amazing.
There was big rumors that George Clooney was looking in Plymouth. Mark Wahlberg was looking in Royal Oak.
And there's still there were studios buying up plots of land, with, old factories and stuff, and that happened.
Yeah.
So weren't able to develop anything without tax incentives after they left. So what can
members of the state, just people who like myself, I mean, I obviously benefit, but I'm just a citizen. What can I do to encourage this to move forward?
The number one thing that you can do right now is write your legislator that you want the Michigan Multimedia Jobs Act, and that's what it's called. It's not just film and TV, but it is also, other sectors of our industry like commercial and industrial. We're talking about adding video games and music to this new because it's
esports is huge, $1 billion market.
It's a new legislative session, so the bill has to be reintroduced. The bill got very close to passing last year. It went all the way through committee, and it just never came up for a vote on the floor. So the legislative session ended, and now we need to reintroduce the bill. So in this process where we're trying to reintroduce the bill, writing your legislators is a huge help. And honestly, joining MIFIA and donating so that we can fund our lobbying efforts. And
so what's the hope? Like once it goes to the legislation, they put it on bill for the House to vote?
So the way that it works is, once we get co-sponsors on the bill, then the bill goes through committee. So it would have to go through the House and committee, the House Finance Committee or the House Economic Development Committee. It would get passed through committee. Then it goes to the House floor for a vote. They discuss it. They decide if there needs to be amendments or anything. Then they bring it up for a vote. They potentially, hopefully pass it. And then it goes to the Senate for a vote. And then it goes to the governor for a signature. So there's quite a few steps.
So we're still at the beginning. It's still an upward battle.
Even though this has been going on for 5 years, I think a lot of people don't realize it resets every year if it doesn't pass. So it's not that the good thing is it didn't get voted on at all because, if it hadn't passed, if it got a no vote, then the effort's over. But because it didn't come up for a vote at all, we're continuing this effort, and we do our own meeting with legislators kind of behind the scenes, and we keep our internal tally. We had the votes to get it passed. So it's just a matter of, honestly, the legislators want to see that people in their district want this. So that's the number one way to get this is to write your legislature.
So it's not about sitting and waiting for a chance to put it on a ballot and vote for it. I've got to speak up.
You have to speak up because it's not a ballot measure. If this was a ballot measure and it was going on a Tuesday election to vote on, it would pass with 89% support, because everybody that we talk to, the other thing is people don't realize it's not just film workers that are going to benefit.
It affects so many industries.
Restaurants and hotels is a big one.
Car rentals.
Catering, car rental, drivers, laundry services, construction, electricians,
facilities,
lumber yards, hardware stores. It has a trickle down.
And there's a growth because I do recognize, and we're going to wrap this up here and get going. But I know that one of the pain points before when there were productions coming in is that we weren't able to get enough honey wagons or bathrooms. So now we're getting them from out of state, which kills the Michigan spend and no longer benefits the.
And because of the way that this one's structured, there would have to be investments made in Michigan so that you're hiring a Michigan company basically because it's a difference of 10-15% on your voucher, you know. So it's
and the incentives program. And their expansion into other industries is of ultimately how I got in because I was an electrician in construction.
Oh, there you go.
Handyman.
Yeah.
I started doing building sets, and then they figured out I could run lights, and
cool.
It led me to here. So it's just
and there's a lot of stories like that, like from the old film incentive program and stuff. But this is a new and improved program, and we need people to write their legislators and tell them they want this. And the more that we, and it seems simple and silly almost, but there's just a form on our website that you just type in your address and your name and your email address, and it sends everything for you to your House rep, your senator, and the governor or something like that. And
interesting.
It's automatically not just Big Gretsch. You got to get the local people and everybody.
Yeah, the local people is really the most impact, and then. They take a tally on their side. So even if you're sending a forum letter that's on our website that's not personal to you, it may feel a little shallow to just click one button and hit send.
But it's like a vote. It's like filling a bubble.
But it is literally like dropping a little ticket in a jar.
Miffy is doing all the work for you.
And they're looking at one-stop shop. At the end of the month, they look at which jar has the most tickets in it, or whatever, the most stubs. And if there's a lot of people writing about Multimedia Jobs Act, their ears perk up. Trust me.
Yeah.
So that website is mifia.org.
Yeah.
And explore that. Get all your. I'm trying to look for the form now, but I'll take a time because I'm definitely going to send it in because It helps us. It helps us all. And like Joe was saying, like Jeff was saying, it's not just filmmakers. There's so many other industries that will benefit from it. It's a way to bring income into our home and community. So Jeff, thank you again for coming in and
thanks for having me
time with us. Could you one more time let the listeners know your website and where they might be able to get a hold of you?
At GS George on Instagram, and feel free to reach out. I'm always down. I love when people that are coming up in this industry reach out, and I try to do what I can to, whether it's just give them advice or meet up for a coffee or whatever. So don't hesitate. That's why I wouldn't be where I'm at without asking a couple people questions and stuff. So if I'm at a prep, like when we prep at the rental house here at Stratton Cameras, sometimes I try to bring on like a trainee or somebody just to hang out at prep and meet the ACs.
Yeah.
And, kind of get looped
which is that exposure that you need. I know a lot of people who have made waves in the industry by showing up for prep days and just putting in some time to learn and get, eyes and hands on things.
No expectations. Anybody that comes and works with me for free is not expected to do labor,
Right.
Because
it's just an opportunity
it's just an opportunity to shadow.
I love that you throw that out there because we're big anti-gatekeeping here at Settlers.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah.
Joe, how can people find you?
At chaotic_artisan on the gram, and you can look me up pretty much anywhere else on the web at Joseph Sheldon Quick.
And the show is on Instagram at ufostudio.detroit. You can also email us at ufostudio.detroit@gmail.com. And if you have questions for Jeff, you can also email us and we can always get them over to him. But he did offer that direct connection, so I would take him up on that if you have anything there.
Hell yeah.
Our website is ufpodcast.podbean.com. We're on Facebook, and give us the thumbs up, give us the likes, give us some comments. Let us know what you thought about our conversation today. I encourage you to go to MIFIA, MIFIA.org. That's ORG, not .com, and sign up to get the newsletter, donate to be a member, or take a look at that template and see about contacting the Michigan legislator. And if you're from out of the state, take a look into what your state is offering. Are you one of the 4 states that's not included in some sort of program, or are you in one of the other blessed states, and how can you benefit from that? It's always beneficial to take a look at those programs. So
well said.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Booyah!